Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It is January the 9th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And really, this was an uptrend. Let me back up. You're really looking at this two different ways. You've got a trading range here, two-tiered, but you've also got an uptrend. And really, we were trending up from really early in the overnight session till just before 2 o'clock, which when we backed off again. So, you know, I would say in the big picture, for most of the trading day, this was an uptrend, but there is a trading range here as well. So, and it's pretty obvious here when you're going sideways and you're back and forth both sides of the EMA. But once we started going higher again, I'd measure that first leg and uh, try to find a target. And you see we went a little bit further than that in the end, but it's pretty close to being a measured move. We overshot it just a little bit, and then we sold off. But the second way you would do, you'd measure this first range here, and once we started going higher, you look for a measured move, and notice how we hit that to the tick almost before we backed up and made one more little push above and then turned down again. So um, really, you could have played this either way or both ways, which is pretty much how I did it. So I played the channel early on, and then once it looked like a range, I switched over to the range. So again, you probably want to play it both ways and use your shorter term stuff in here as well. So hopefully that makes sense. But let's talk about the trades and we'll wrap it up. Really, while it looked like a range here early, I traded it both ways, and in the end, you could trade it both ways. Even once we got back up here, and it was obvious we were going sideways again. Uh, 7 o'clock hour came during this move up right in here, and you got another bounce right off the trend line, but that's not a very good signal bar. There's not much room to the high. We did have what looked like a close outside here, and so I wasn't crazy about entering there. I really wasn't crazy about going short either because this is not a, even though you got a close outside here, it's not a clear and obvious because it could be your trend lines off just a little bit, and you really could flatten this out a little bit and it probably would touch up here again, but then you probably wouldn't touch here either. So I believe this is pretty close to being correct, but it was just a little bit as strong as this market's been lately. It's a little bit dangerous going short. You probably could make this one, especially this one. It's only 2 ticks. Um, you might even make that green, to be honest with you, because it's only 2 ticks. So, and notice how far away we are from the EMA, and it does appear that we have a close outside. I was playing it as a close outside, and that's the reason I didn't want to go long there. So you might have gone short right there. There's a lower high right here, but you've already got a close outside that short-term trend line right there, and there's not much room right there. Although you would expect it to come back to the EMA, there may be enough room. So again, you probably could argue for that to maybe even be green. Um, I just was not crazy about them at the time. Going short up there because this market's been so strong. And it wouldn't have surprised me at all if we didn't push up and make another new high before we turned off. But I'll remark those. And really, I think that one ought to be green because generally you need to wait on a lower high. But if you're wanting to be aggressive, I'd take either one of those trades if you really want to be aggressive. And same thing down here. You got a second entry long, pulls back. But look how strongly we push through the EMA. There is a short-term trend line here with a break, but maybe there's another trend line. It doesn't turn out that there is, but you got to be, you want to play it safe. So again, I think you were better off to wait on a higher low here, which comes right here, which is basically a double bottom. It's the same thing. You didn't make a new low. You got a big bullish bar. You've had a close outside, a big move down. Actually, I skipped this short right here. Now you've got a failed second entry long and you're below the EMA, and notice how it makes that one little tick. There's a tick higher in there. So even though you got a double top, there's a tick higher between that bar. And that's a fairly bearish bar, and that's a failed second entry long. So I like that one. And this is why we only go for 4 ticks, but because it got just enough to scalp out. Actually, it got an extra tick, so it did get a little bit more than just enough. But and then it bounces, and now you've got a higher low, as I was talking about a minute ago. So I like going long right there. At this point, I was really looking for that measured leg up. I really thought we'd go higher from right here. We did, but we came back and tested that one more time. We kind of had a little sideways action here first. So this turns out to be a nice trade. And then, of course, we find resistance right here again. You get a little close outside, move to a new high, and it turns down. And you're a good bit away from the EMA. So at this point, I like going short right there. You got a double test of this level. The shorter term stuff is all pointing to the downside. Turns out this just shoots right through, pulls back, and gives you a lower high here underneath. And so I like going short right here. At this point, this is when I really was concerned, hey, maybe the channel's not correct. And you need, it's looking more like a range. And again, this was a fairly quick and easy trade here. You may not have got in this one. It gapped straight down. I mean, this happened real quickly. And I think what it was, a lot of these people that were getting long realized that, hey, maybe I need to get out of this. And of course, it goes down, it tests that bottom again and bounces. Now you got a double test of this level, a nice bullish bar, so I like going long there again. And again, you're hoping maybe you get that next leg up, but you're at least looking to ride it back to here. And this one just takes off this time. And so once it went higher, I'm looking for this measured move. I'm also measuring this trading range and moving it up and looking for a measured move there. And of course, it's almost to the tick. It actually gets one little extra tick there. So that's basically a perfect measured move. You got a low, you've got a nice bearish bar here, a good bit away from the EMA. And you do have a close, and so this is basically all repeat of this right here. So you could almost argue the same things here. The only problem is that the reason I didn't originally mark these is this market has been very strong. And it wouldn't surprise me if, you don't get a correction, it pushes higher like it did. I just thought it might do it right in here. So this was a little bit aggressive, but you could argue again for both of these because this is really, and if you did notice that it's a repeat pattern of what we just had right here, it looks a little different, but it's the same thing. You got a first entry long that fails right there, or a lower high back to the EMA, and then it bounces a little higher here than it does down here, but then you get that failed second entry long just like right here, and it doesn't go very much lower. It gives you a double test of the low and bounces. So it's really very similar to what we had over here. It's basically a repeat pattern. So based on that, I still want to make that green because the real difference between this one and this one is this one had a more of a pretty obvious close outside. This one didn't quite. I mean, it's still a close outside, but it's more of a neutral bar and not a negative bar, and there's not much of a correction here. Prices never break lower. Notice how you get at least a correction here. But it is a good bit away from the EMA, and you do get the lower high, so again, you could argue for that one. And then you get that failed second entry long. And this is also a second entry short, so that was another reason I like that one. Again, it's a little bit aggressive. There's not a lot of room between here and the EMA or this line or this low down here. And but if you're wanting to be aggressive and you notice that it does look like a repeat pattern, no problem taking that one. But when it bounces here, just like it gave you that double test, I like going long there. Now you got enough room to get out before you get back up here as well. And it actually pulls back, gives you a higher low, but it's right into that resistance, so I'm not crazy about it. But then you get that failed second entry short, the confirmation of that short-term trend line. We're probably going to break higher. The problem is you don't know that it doesn't go a tick or two, like right here, and then back up, and you get stopped out. So it would have worked. And then, of course, this is, you basically could treat this like a failed breakout. Again, you're better off to wait on that lower high, which comes here. So I made this one green, but it's only 3 ticks, pretty good bit away from the EMA. You definitely got 2 legs up, failed break higher, very low risk entry. There's a failed break out of that little congestion area as well. Although if you're just playing that, there's not much room back to the low side in case it bounces there. But on the bigger picture, this is a breakout. You would expect this to come back at least enough to give you a scalp between up here and this trend line. And notice how it gapped over that trend line. Notice how it bounced off of it there. Even the close on the lower side is telling you that is a valid line. But it shoots on through, pulls back, and it comes back and makes a lower high, big bearish bar, and it tests that higher part of the range again. So I like going short there. This might have shaken you out when it started going sideways here. But if you held on, it gives you a failed second entry long and then another run down. And but this was after 2 o'clock, so I didn't mark it. But that would have been, if you were still in, I'd probably add on there. And if I wasn't in, I'd jump in there if it wasn't after 2 o'clock. But somebody else sent me an email asking me if I thought there were more, quite a few entries today. There are. I marked a bunch of them green, but you could really argue for all of them. I mean, all of these are really close to being, they're borderline to being red or blue. But at the same time, I mean, as strong as this market's been, you got to be really careful getting short in it. So I'm more apt to be aggressive towards the long side than I would be the short side right now. So just because this market's been so strong. But anyway, I hope you had a good trading day, and we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. We're breezing. Tomorrow's be middle of the week, so we're breezing through another week. I just don't know where the time is going. It just seems like every day goes by faster. But good trading day. Mostly uphill most of the day. There is a combination of a trading range and a channel here. But the overall bias was mostly up today. And I'm going to wrap it up. So we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.